Hello everyone, I hope you're having a good day. In this video, I'll be ranking all of the medium armors in Baldur's Gate 3 on a tier list. We got 27 of them, and let's be honest, medium armor is some of the best armor in the game. Now, we'll first be starting off here with the new Patch 8 Oath of the Crown outfit here. It looks awesome, despite being one of the worst ones that we have on this list. So, it's got disadvantage on stealth checks, 14 armor class, and only a +2 from our dexterity. And I'll be honest, when we look at most of these are all D tier, really. I'll just briefly go over all the lowest tier ones. There are some that are okay, but for the most part, like this one only gives a 15 armor class. This one gives a 13 armor class, but when we're in shadows, they get hit with a 1d4 necrotic. This one just gives a +1 dexterity saves and nature +1. So yeah, most of these here early game ones kind of just suck for the most part. We also got the Oath Father's Embrace, which is a funny one because if you get hit by a beast, they deal an additional 1d6 of radiant damage against you, but any undead will take a 1d6 of radiant damage themselves. So yeah, a lot of these are pretty poo-poo. We're just going to throw them all into the D tier. There is some other interesting ones like the slippery chain shirt here. Whenever you heal a creature, you automatically disengage. Disengage just means you don't get hit by opportunity attacks. So you can move around a little bit more freely. It's okay if you're a healer, but another one that I'd say probably in the D tier. And then we also got some of the medium rare armor that's listed as rare with the breastplate +2. This one gives you a 1 less piercing damage and +1 to dexterity saving throws. It's a little bit better because you can get your armor class up to 18. So for this, I will put this one into the C tier. That's a little bit higher up. Then we also got ourselves the chain shirt, which is a 15 armor class, 1 less slashing and +1 dexterity. Kind of the same thing. It's a little bit better than its predecessor, but not by much. Now we're getting into some real good ones with the Luminous armor. This is a funny one because the Luminous armor is just uncommon. You'd expect it to be not that great. If you're on your first playthrough, you may not know the true power of this. I actually think this is one of the best armor sets in the game. That's how good it is. 15 armor class +2 dexterity, so 17 armor class. That's not the reason we choose it. When the wearer deals radiant damage, they cause a radiant shockwave, which does a 3-meter explosion of radiating orbs, which makes the target do a -2 to the attack rolls. So what this means is whenever you, let's say, go around with Spirit Guardians, Divine Smite, or even if you're a level 11 Paladin, your main attacks do radiant damage. You apply these radiant shockwaves to enemies, which can stack up to a -10 to the enemy's attack rolls. This is really good, especially on a light domain cleric, a Paladin, especially the Oath of the Crown Paladin works very well there. This is a very powerful ability, and it's kind of funny it's listed as uncommon. This is actually one that I would be putting up high at S tier. If you're doing a radiating orb build for your light cleric, that is the best in slot. It's crazy. It's much better than a lot of the rare items here, which we'll get onto next with the Dark Justiciar Half-Plate. 16 armor class. When obscured, the wearer has advantage on stealth checks. That is pretty nice. The Dark Justiciar sets do have that. Advantage on Constitution saving throw checks, and you get Shar's Aegis here. So this one also gives you a nice appearance here. I think the Dark Justiciar armor looks quite nice. But the Shar's Aegis is a increase your armor class by 2. So basically just the protection spell there. So this one is a little bit better. I would put that up into the B tier. Maybe even, yeah, somewhere maybe high B tier to A tier. What really does it is the advantage on Constitution saving throw checks. So you can hold concentrations much better. And for when you get this, that's pretty nice to have. And the Shar's Aegis will also deal a 1d4 of necrotic damage to attackers. Kind of similar to the one that you get earlier on that just automatically does that, as long as you have that Shield of Faith active. And next up, we're getting ourselves into some very powerful and unique abilities with the Elven Chain. Where this is unique is that it has the Elven Chain ability giving you the proficiency of medium armor. That's not what's craziest about this. It actually doesn't have a medium armor tag. So what this means is if you got the Bracers of Defense, you can actually equip those with this. Because typically the Bracers of Defense, if you're wearing armor, you can't get that +2 armor class, but you do get it when you're wearing this. Also, you can use things like the Bone Spike Boots or Corallin's Grace as far as quarterstaffs go, and they'll also give their bonuses despite you technically wearing a medium armor set. And also, if you're a monk, it'll give you the increased movement speed, so you don't lose that. You also get a +2 to initiative and advantage on dexterity saving throws. The Elven Chain is really good. Free proficiency in and itself is nice. It has a 16 armor class. It's not going to be the strongest, but it also has those nice benefits of initiative and also allows you to wear the Bracers of Defense and also get their effects too. So the Elven Chain, it also looks nice. Style points, I would have to say this is a high A tier to a S tier option. I think there is a lot better options here, so I'm just going to throw it into the A tier, but that is really good. And next we got ourselves just a hide armor here. Don't love the appearance of the hide armor that much, I'll be honest with y'all. +1 to dexterity saving throws and checks, +1 to initiative. It's not bad, but it's another one that's likely a C tier option. And next up is the Half-Plate Armor +2. This one's pretty interesting because it gives you a 17 armor class +2 from dexterity, so that can give you up to 19 armor class, which is honestly kind of good. It also makes you take 2 less piercing damage, but disadvantage in stealth checks. It's not bad as far as medium armor goes, and it also looks pretty cool too. So I guess a couple style points there, but overall, again, it doesn't have any special benefits other than having a nice armor class to it. So I'd probably say this one is a B tier, around their option. And next up, we got the Psionic Ward Armor. So the Psionic Ward Armor is kind of a Gith-Yankee appearance. And if the wearer detects that the wearer is Gith, they have resistance to psychic damage, which is tough when you go against Mind Flayers because they have a lot of psychic damage. So that actually helps out quite a bit. You can also use Disguise Self and turn yourself into a Gith and equip this and get the benefits. When the wearer succeeds on a saving throw against a spell, they regain 1d4 of health points, similar to some other clothing options we get in the game. Disadvantage to stealth checks, and the armor class is 15 +2 from dexterity, so it's okay. Resistance to psychic damage is kind of nice, but typically Lae'zel will be wearing heavy armor. So for that, I'd have to say this one is another potential like B tier-ish one. But next up, we got a little bit of a better option, or getting there. It's not quite. The Scale Mail +2. So this is actually kind of funny because the Scale Mail and the Yuan-ti look similar, but one is much better than the other. So Scale Mail +2 is 16 armor class +2 from your dexterity, 1 less slashing, 1 +2 initiative, and disadvantage on stealth. So it's, again, an okay option compared to some of these other ones here. So we'd have to put this one somewhere in the B tier as well. But next up is the Jolty Vest. This is an interesting one. It gives you a 14 armor class. And with this 14 armor class, whenever the wearer takes damage while having lightning charges, the attacker must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or become shocked. Shocked means that you have disadvantage on dexterity, ability checks, and saving throws, and you cannot take reactions, so you can run away basically without getting procced by an opportunity attack. It's a okay one. +2 from dexterity, so 16 armor class max there. It looks all right too. It's lightning charges are all right in general. There's much better ways to utilize it, so this one's not bad, but I'd rather almost like the Luminous armor or something else in place of this. And for that, I'd probably say the Jolty Vest somewhere around the B tier as well. If you really want to emphasize lightning charges, it's not bad. But we next have one of the coolest armor sets in the game. I always have this on somebody. This was actually meant to be Karlach's outfit. This is in the early art of the game, what she was wearing, the Unwanted Masterwork Scale Mail. This is really good too. It is a 16 armor class. You can add your full dexterity modifier to your armor class, so you can literally get a +6, +7 to your armor class. And additionally, this armor does not impose disadvantage on stealth ability checks. Huge. And it also grants resistance to fire damage. It also looks pretty cool too. Like, I typically have this on Minsk or Karlach. I think it looks great on both of them. And again, it was meant to be Karlach's initial outfit of the game. That's why you get it from Damon. So yeah, this one, adding the full dexterity modifier can be really nice. You get a good amount of armor class from this, resistance to fire damage, and no disadvantage in stealth checks. This overall would be a solid S tier pick just for the defensive purposes and also stealth purposes. And next we also got another full dexterity modifier with the Yuan-ti Scale Mail. What this does is adds full dexterity modifier, does not impose disadvantage, and a +1 to initiative. It is a 15 armor class, so it's not quite as good as the Unwanted Masterwork Scale, but it's earlier that you get it, so I guess points there. And yeah, it's not going to be the highest armor class, and adding your full dexterity modifier, there's another one that takes the crown there, but it's close enough that I'd have to say for when you get the Yuan-ti Scale Mail, it's going to be a tier pick. And next we got a really solid one with the Adamantine Scale Mail. What is great about this is it reduces all your incoming damage by 1. Whenever you get hit with an attack, it applies reeling onto the enemy, which means they have a -2 to their attack rolls, so they're less likely to hit you at that point. It also gives disadvantage on stealth checks, and attackers can't land critical hits on you. Sometimes, I mean, if you have the highest armor class in the world, a critical hit can still hit. That's the thing. Rolling a 20, instant hit. This means you can't get hit by those, and you also take less damage. The Adamantine Scale Mail is available in Act 1. It looks great. It looks very similar to the, you can see there, very similar in its appearance to a lot of the other outfits, the Scale Mails. So yeah, it's cool. Really useful for when you get it. And for that, I'd have to say Act 1, it's the best armor in Act 1. So S tier for that. Next, we have one of the best armors in the game with the Armour of Agility. So this adds our full dexterity modifier. So again, you can add your entire dexterity modifier to your armor class, and it does not disadvantage on stealth ability checks. Huge, but also +2 to armor or saving throws. So you're much less likely to get hit by a variety of different effects. So overall, best armor class. You can get your armor class up really crazy. If we're going to spec into every single piece of armor class related gear, get our dexterity up to 20 or 22. Yeah, it's going to be really a defensive for us. So Armour of Agility, it's also a really cool looking piece of armor. I also recommend, if you're into using mods, the Faerun colors, and especially their AO dye here, which looks incredible on the Armour of Agility. Just a side note, if you want to have this nice, sleek black armor with cool details, just a little side note there. And yeah, overall, this one is going up into the S tier. This is quite possibly the best armor set as far as medium armor goes, because you can get such a high armor class with that. So yeah, it looks cool. It's one of the best. And next up, we got ourselves the Flame Enamelled armor here. 16 armor class, +2 to initiative, resistance to fire damage, and a +2 to saving throws, disadvantage on stealth checks, but fire shield warm. So this will give you a fire shield spell. You only take half damage from cold, and you deal a 2d8 of fire damage to anyone that attacks you with a melee attack. So pretty decent. You unfortunately have to look like this though. It can be dyed. It does dye pretty well because it's a big fabricy one, but overall it's yeah, not as good as some of the other ones here. The fire shield spell is really its biggest thing that it's got going for it. Giving you an extra spell and a fighter is kind of nice, but or a ranger, anyone that's not wearing heavy armor. But yeah, I feel like there is better armor sets in the game, so we're gonna throw this one somewhere around the, I'll put it into the high A tier. And next we got actually a really effective one. This one you have to go full evil to get this, the Dark Justiciar Half-Plate. 17 armor class, +2 for dexterity takes it to 19. When obscured, the wearer has advantage on stealth checks. That's great. When the Shield of Faith is active, reduce all incoming damage by 2 and reflect damage received back at the attacker. They'll take a 1d4 necrotic. Advantage on Constitution saving throw checks, and you get again that Shard's Aegis, which will give you an increased armor class by 2 and then reflects necrotic damage back to melee attackers. This is great for if you're going Shadowheart full evil, and you go with like, you also get the evil spear, Shard Spear in the evening, which is incredibly strong, one of the best weapons in the game. They go together very well because this will give you advantage on stealth checks. You can pop darkness from that, and you're going to be pretty well protected. Alongside all the other Sharn gear, yeah, it's extremely useful. So yeah, if you're going evil Shadowheart, this is a really good set of gear, and I have to put this one up into the S tier. I actually might put the Adamantine ahead of it because the Adamantine you get earlier in the game, and it's going to be much more beneficial to your playthrough than this. Finally, we got one more set of armor here with the Sharpened Snare Cuirass. Now, this will give us our full dexterity modifier to armor class, but it's got 14 AC. This one's at 17, so 3 higher on that. And then this one has 16, so 2 higher. But this gives disadvantage on saving throws when resisting your attacks and spells that inflict restrained. So if you're using this, you're going to want to play like a ranger or something that's got ensnaring strike. This gives them disadvantage on their saving throws. You can get advantage on, yeah, it's okay, I guess. One thing that's interesting about this is it's meant to give a disadvantage on anything with ensnaring strike, but if you use like entangle, shadow, Arabelle's shadow entangle, any of those entangle spells, they don't actually apply on the first time. So kind of weird, doesn't really give the advantage. And also Edward's Black Tentacles, if you got that spell, it also doesn't apply on that, and nor Nature's Wrath. So yeah, there's a few things that it won't actually properly work on. So yeah, it's an okay one if you really want to focus on ensnaring builds. This would be your best in slot for ensnare builds, but I don't think that's something that many people run. If you do, let me know in the comments, but I would have to say this one is probably a low A tier to high B tier option. Just doesn't have the same armor class value, but it's great for those that want to follow up with ensnaring strike. So for the S tier, I think final rankings, I would put the Armour of Agility. This is the best armor class in the game, 17 AC. And then with your dexterity modifier and +2 to saving throws, it's hard not to love the Armour of Agility, especially when it looks nice like that. So that's an easy S tier choice. Luminous armor, this is the best in slot for light clerics and a solid option for paladins, especially with the Oath of the Crown paladin also getting Spirit Guardians. You can run around with Spirit Guardians applying the Luminous, which will give those -2 attack rolls up to a -10, making it much more likely that your team's not going to get hit. Perfect on a light cleric because they also have the warding, or they have the ability to get disadvantage on attack rolls against your team at level 6, so that can be good too. Adamantine Scale Mail, it's one of the earliest options that you do get in the game, and for that reason, it's going to be one of the better ones. 16 armor class, +2 dexterity, all the extra defensive benefits. Then we also got the Unwanted Scale Mail armor. This is another really solid option, given full dexterity modifier and resistance to fire damage. This one could actually be a little bit better. Like, it's truly probably right around there, but just because this one sets up your build so much better, it's hard to rank these into ranks sometimes, because I can make an argument for the Luminous armor being really good. But yeah, somewhere's in around there. And then the Dark Justiciar armor here, which will give you those nice advantage on stealth checks as well as holding your concentrations. If you're a darkness build, this is probably the best armor in slot. And then the Elven Chain also being really useful for its benefits, and the fire armor here. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the subscribe button below if you haven't already. I hope you have an incredible day, and we'll see you all in the next video.